Welcome to episode 8 of the SCORE podcast. I'm your host, Dave Walker, founder and lead tutor at Walker Prep, where we've been helping students achieve exceptional score gains on the ACT and SAT since 2014. To learn more about the impressive results we've helped our students achieve and how we can help you, visit us at walkertestprep.com. That's walkertestprep.com. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be speaking with someone who may at first seem like a surprising type of guest for a test prep podcast, and that is esteemed ghostwriter Sam Severn. In addition to being a 14-time #1 best-selling ghostwriter, Sam is also a book doctor, screenwriter, and writing coach. Sam served as writing consultant for Robert Beatty's #1 best-selling children's novels, Serafina and the Twisted Staff and Willa of the Wood. Sam also served as writing consultant for the #1 bestsellers, Tears for My City by Dean Dimitrieski and The Revved Life by Jeff Knight. Sam has published more than 3,000 news stories and ghostwritten or consulted on 60 published books. He's a 7-time speaker at the Nashville Writers Conference, and perhaps most important of all, he is a huge, undying Elvis fan. Sam has also had a profound impact on my own writing journey. You see, in addition to being a world-class test prep tutor, I also dabble from time to time in fiction writing, primarily fantasy and a little sci-fi. I discovered Sam when I was searching for a writing coach to help me with a short story I was struggling to finish. And let me tell you, Sam has been nothing short of phenomenal in helping me better understand the art of storytelling and building my confidence to share the stories swirling around chaotically in my head. I can tell you from personal experience that Sam has a special genius for helping people to craft compelling narratives that resonate with their audiences. Sam's insight and guidance have been transformative for my own journey as a writer, so you can imagine my enthusiasm when I found out that Sam is branching out into coaching for college admissions essays. There is no question that Sam's unique ability to help people find and share their personal narratives is going to be an incredible asset for families with college-bound kids. Sam, welcome to the show.
David, thank you. It is awesome, my brother, to be here today.
It's great to have you. Okay, Sam, so the title of this episode is The Art of Storytelling for College Admissions and Beyond. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of college admissions, let's talk a bit about your career as a ghostwriter. You know, ghostwriting has a sort of mystique surrounding it, an air of glamour and intrigue. So I know people are going to want to know more about that. If you wouldn't mind, could you give us a peek behind the curtain into the fascinating world of being a ghostwriter and enlighten us as to, 1, what is a ghostwriter, and 2, what does a ghostwriter do?
Let me start with 1, since you've now got many, many stories swirling around in my head too after that introduction.
Yeah.
So what is a ghostwriter? I'm going to just give you my interpretation and my experience of what a ghostwriter is. A ghostwriter is a writer who helps another writer to tell their story, writes the story for them, but does not take credit for any of the writing, for even existing, for even knowing that person. That's a ghostwriter's mission, to write for another writer, to be their vision, to be their voice, but to disappear into behind the curtain, as you said, into the shadows.
Yeah.
And not only that, but to be happy with that, to be thankful and grateful for the opportunity, I think, to help another writer with their dreams. That to me that's what a ghostwriter is. He's a dream weaver. He's helping someone else's vision come to life. He's bringing spark to an idea that maybe another writer hasn't been able to bring to full fruition. That's to me the definition from my experience of what I've done as a ghostwriter. What does a ghostwriter do? I'm I think of myself in two ways. Mostly because I have a tendency to see two kinds of projects come my way. I'm either functioning as a bridge or as a rescuer. As a bridge, I will frequently meet with a writer who has just an idea that is burning in their brain and is standing on one side of the abyss, being a river. On the other side of the river is the completion of that dream, of that idea. They don't know how. All they see is a river between where they stand and the completion of the dream, the achievement of their goals, and no idea how to get there. I'm the bridge. I am the person who you can come to, who will write for you, who will take your vision, respect it, love it. Love it. That's probably the most important part, is loving and connecting with the person, with the vision, with the dream, and just being a bridge over troubled waters, just laying down like that Simon and Garfunkel song, so that no matter what is underneath the bridge, the journey across to the other side, achieving the dream, is possible. And then the bridge kind of behind the writer vanishes, is not there anymore. They've achieved it. They've reached the other side of the river. That's one way, as a bridge. As a rescuer, so to use the bridge and the river analogy again, the other type of projects I tend to get are those where someone has started on writing a novel, started on writing their memoir, started on writing anything, gotten halfway across the bridge, and either jumped off because fear stopped them in some ways, fell off, just gave up, went backwards. They just could not get all the way across the bridge. So they're in the troubled waters, drowning, looking for help. So my job, my role, my calling in that function is to just rescue, restore, reawaken the dream, pull the writer out of the water, and as the ghostwriter still help them to manage to cross that bridge, get to the other side, achieve the dream. I mean, that's it. And again, to vanish, to disappear into the shadows, and to wave from the shore, watching the glorious achievements that are going to come for that person, because they still have many, many mountains to climb. Having achieved the dream, having written a short story or a novel, there's so much more to do still beyond that. And I still love helping writers pass that in the stages of finding an agent or going into publishing, going into self-publishing. I love that part of it also. I love working with a writer past the bridge and into the mountainsides and into the valleys. Frequently I get that chance. Sometimes I don't. But that's how I see ghostwriting. That's not really a nuts and bolts approach to ghostwriting. That's more a spiritual overview of metaphors for ghostwriting. But that's also how I see it. It's a spiritual calling. Storytelling is a spiritual calling.
Yeah, and those are great metaphors, spoken like a true writer. The bridge and the rescuer. That's fantastic. Let's talk now about a variation of that, where you're not a ghostwriter, but you are a writing coach. What are some of the differences between being a full-fledged ghostwriter versus being a writing coach? What does a writing coach do, and why do people need one?
Okay, so why do people need a coach? Why do people need a coach for anything? Steph Curry has a coach in the NBA. Caitlin Clark has coaches. Aaron Judge has a batting coach, an outfield coach, a running coach. All the Olympic athletes that are going to be marching across Paris, thousands of athletes, each one of those has a coach. Coach is needed to have someone who's been there, who's frequently, and maybe most importantly, failed at what they tried to achieve, but overcome that failure and achieved what the athlete or the writer, in this case, because we're talking about writing, what the writer wants to achieve. I think a coach functions best actually if they've failed miserably and found their way to success by failing, by learning. How do I do better at this? Why did I fail? Because as a coach, that's what you are directly dealing with. Are a writer who's coming to you with, hey, here's my problem with this script. Here's my problem with this novel. I need help, or I need accountability. I need somebody to kick me in the behind to meet some deadlines, because I'm not good at setting deadlines. I'll procrastinate. I will censor myself. I'll just write the same sentence over and over and over. I need somebody to help me continually move forward. So as a writer, for writing coach, it's always different. Some writers just need that somebody who's out there, knowing somebody's out there. And probably the most important quality, I think, of being a coach is trust. You need someone. I really don't think you need somebody who's done bestsellers. That's not as important. You need somebody you can trust, somebody who loves what you're writing as much as you do, but has been there, but has walked through the fire, has come out the other side scorched and still smoking probably, but so that you can do that. You can walk through the fire, because writing is walking through fire. It's walking on hot coals. It's walking through the apocalypse. It's walking through the zombie apocalypse. It's a treacherous thing to be a writer. It's a treacherous mission, but it's a holy mission also. So what is a writing coach? That's a good question. It's like constantly different. It's being a therapist. It's being good cop, bad cop. It's being someone who can give you feedback that you trust in, can be honest about it. Even if you seem like you've got a really great, loving relationship, you've got to be able to be honest about what are the flaws, what are the strengths, more importantly, I think. What is cooking in this writing? What is your strength as a writer? Because that is what you're going to build upon. So you need somebody you can be accountable to. You need someone who's been there. You need someone who can be there whenever you need them. And also somebody, I think, who is not afraid to say, hey, I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll find it. You don't have to worry. You can take the pressure off yourself and off of your shoulders, knowing someone else is there to help you through the tough times, but also to find answers to the tough questions.
Yeah, that's great. So, to kind of go back to your analogy of the bridge, when I came to you, I might have had the bridge almost done, or in some iterations all the way done, but it was I knew that it was a horribly constructed bridge, because anytime anyone tried to walk across it, it fell apart. And you definitely helped me to see, as you point out, to see the good in my writing, so I would know what to focus on to make it better.
And I think that's almost every writer's hardest task, is to see what's good about your writing. It's funny because, myself included, every writer I can think of that I've worked with can see what's not working, even if they don't know how to fix it, but they can't see what they're doing well. And so they don't know how to focus on their strengths. And I think most of the time, even though most writers come to me looking for fixes, looking for therapy, looking for healing, what they find is somebody who's going to say, you rock right here. Here's where you rock. Focus on this part of your writing, on this part of your soul, on this part of you. Because that's so much of writing and being a writer is discovering yourself. Understanding who you are, what your strengths are. It's like the whole journey of life really is compressed into being a writer. How do you focus on what you do well, what your purpose is, what the purpose of your story is, what the purpose of being a storyteller is, focusing on that rather than, here's where I suck, here's where I'm weak, here's where this doesn't work, here's what everybody tells me is awful about my writing.
Okay, well, that's a good setup into the next question, which is broader. What makes for a good story? And there's going to be another two-parter. Sorry, I'm cheating. What makes for a good story, and what is the importance of storytelling in today's world?
Ooh, that is a question. I'm going to have to ponder that for a second. No, I don't think I will, actually. I'm just going to let it roll. So what's the importance of storytelling in today's world? Honestly, I don't think storytelling has ever been more important than it is right now. I think because we're so focused on Facebook kind of world, where we think we're presenting to the world our story. And what we tend to do on social media and Facebook specifically is, in telling our story, we tend to focus on either, here's my vacation that's awesome, here's my life that's awesome and my children, or I'm broken. This is the part of my life that's broken. This isn't working. I need your prayers for this. I hate this about the world. So we're imbalanced. We're not, and storytelling is all about is using both of those elements, but finding, again, the bridge between those so that you understand the university out. I'm not going to use that word because I don't think I could say it.
It's a hard one. I'm not going to try it either.
The commonality, that was easier to say, of the human existence is not these extremes, which we tend to live in nowadays. I'm either angry at the world or I'm on vacation that everybody else is going to be jealous about. So that's just social media, Facebook I'm talking about. Really, that relates to movies, to TV, to books. We're kind of getting in this place where we want to write things that are either so dark that we're lost in darkness. We're just giving the ugliest part of life because we can see that so easily, or we're writing something that's so Pollyanna, if that's even a term anybody understands anymore. It's so saccharine. Again, I don't know if that's a term anybody recognizes anymore, but it's so Brady Bunch. Okay, I guess maybe that's that's maybe a little better definition. Or Leave It to Beaver. It's just not a realistic world. We need to have stories that bridge all of that experience, because that's the experience of life every single day. This is the best day of my life. Here's something that's broken about my life. Here's a dark moment of my life. These are all things that we all experience on a daily basis. We're not living in one thing and the other. Storytellers have always been able to bridge that. Storytellers, that's their function. That's why storytelling is so sacred, and it's always been here since, if it's true, back in the caveman days. That's why we see cave writings and drawings, is because we're telling a story that has a path, it has a journey. I guess maybe that's what I'm saying. We don't show the journey anymore. We show the destination. Either I'm stuck in a pit of darkness, or I'm on vacation that I want all my friends to be envious about, and it's 1 week of my life, but everything is perfect. And we're not showing the journey of life anymore. That's the function of storytelling, is I'm on a journey. We're all on a journey. We're all on a journey of self-discovery, of learning, of healing, of overcoming, of surrendering, of life.
We're getting snapshots, and it seems like the snapshots are either really dark or way too bright. It's either Game of Thrones or it's Lord of the Rings, and maybe a good story. Not to say that either of those are not good stories, so maybe this is a terrible analogy, but a more realistic story might be a little bit of mixing the two, the grimdark with the grand vision of Tolkien. So that, because life, I think you're saying, is a series of ups and downs, and so that's what a good story should be as well.
Look at just to use your Lord of the Rings analogy. Look at Fellowship of the Ring. Look at the movies. If it's too hard to think about the books, where does it start? It starts in the Shire, in the beautiful green Shire where everything is good, and slowly we get into a world of darkness. We don't start stuck in darkness.
Yeah,
we're all born into a world that's beautiful, that's loving, and we find our way through darkness, and either find our way out of it or we don't. And I think too often we're telling stories where we're stuck in darkness. We start in darkness, we're stuck in there, and there's no way out. And I don't think that's the function of storytelling, is to inspire us, it's to elevate us, it's to lift us up, it's to show us a path through life and through troubled times.
Absolutely. So speaking of beauty, that's another great setup for the next question, my final question. What is the beauty of mentoring younger writers?
I love working with younger writers, and I will tell you why. Young writers are filled with fire and passion, and they're wide-eyed with love of a dream, of something they want to accomplish, that they can see a path forward. They're taking that first step, and they can see the destination, and they can see they're achieving something. And I love that. You're working with someone who's on fire, who's lit the flame, and is ready to march forward. To give you a comparison, I frequently work with older, mature, I suppose, writers like myself, my age, young and younger somewhat, and older somewhat. Older writers tend to be haunted by their failures. In other words, They tend to come to you and say, hey, I need somebody to reignite the flame. I lost it. It's gone out. I need that passion back because I had it once before, but somewhere along the lines, it got broken. I threw it away. I put it into a closet, and it's still there. And I really want to reawaken that and get back to that place. So it's like they're on these two, they're so different. Working with a young writer is so beautiful because you're in that place of innocence, of I can see what I want to do. I'm ready to go. I'm all gassed up. I've got the car. I've got my driver's license. I'm ready to rock and roll, and nothing's going to stop me. And they don't see the pitfalls yet. They're not haunted by failure. They're not haunted by the dream that they gave up on. They have grabbed hold of the dream, and they're ready to run with it. And I love that, because that's where we've all been. As you get older, you think back to those places in your life, I think, where you let go of something that was a dream or a path you wanted to follow. And we all, I think, reach a point in our lives as older adults where you hearken back to that, to use a word I never use, hearken, but it's a good word, so I'm going to use it. You hearken back to those things from childhood or young adulthood where you just were on fire with something, because it never does really go out. It feels like it does, but it never really goes away. And you reach a point where I want to go back to that place and be re-inspired and set on fire and have the passion I once had. So again, working with younger writers is being in that place and being able to take someone on a journey of learning, of just walking alongside with someone, being a Yoda, if that's a good, companion, is just be a spirit guide, just be someone who's been there, who is inspired. I'll tell you why I really love working with writers, young writers, maybe more than anything now that I'm talking through this and talking it out, is because it inspires me.
Yeah.
It really inspires me to work with young people because they're so on fire that it's hard not to reignite whatever flame I think is burning brightly in me, but could always use maybe a little more gasoline here and there sometimes. So I just love, because you've got someone who's working with passion, they're ready to learn. And it's like being a flower that's blooming into the sun. Feel like I can be the sun for someone else that shines down and helps them to grow and blossom and become whatever their purpose is, whatever their dream is. Because it just gets back to the idea of why storytelling is so important, is because storytellers know the importance of carrying the torch and carrying the flame. And I think especially young writers, they may not see how perilous the journey is going to be yet, but like Frodo, they're ready to take that journey. They're ready to walk up the mountainside and into the fire. And as long as they have, a Sam, I'm not speaking of me, Sam, but as long as they have a Sam, a sidekick, someone, or a Yoda, someone there that they can turn to along the way, they know they can make it.
Well, Sam, it has been a privilege talking with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing insights and experiences. I know people are going to be interested in working with you. So could you please let our listeners know where they can find out more about your work and get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So my website is Sam Severn, and I will spell that SamSevern.com, which of course is COM. So samsevern.com. You can also reach me at samsevern@AOL.com. I'm the last person on AOL using America Online still, since Lord only knows, probably the 1970s. And so I'm supporting the whole website and keeping it afloat. So if you want to send me some email through that direction, America Online will always be very grateful for that. But those are the two best ways, my website and just shoot me an email.
Well, that was impressive. I think you'll agree that Sam Severn is an ideal writing coach and would be a tremendous asset for families seeking guidance with college admissions essays. You'll find Sam's contact information in the show notes. Sam's services are in high demand, so I encourage you to get in touch with him right away. And for those of you who are serious about achieving your highest potential score on the SAT, but don't want to break the bank on expensive test prep, I also strongly encourage you to check out what I think is hands down the very best self-prep system for the digital SAT reading and writing section, and that is the Walker Prep Question Type Inventory. Using the system is easy. Just take an official digital SAT practice test, then go to walkertestprep.com and click on Self-Prep. There, you can look up each question you missed on your official practice test. The inventory will not only tell you the exact question type for each of your misses, it will also provide you with links to the relevant strategy guides and links to targeted practice questions and drills. The Walker Prep self-study system offers the simplest, fastest way to pinpoint your weaknesses and learn powerful strategies for improvement so you can be more confident and score higher on test day. Don't miss this opportunity to achieve your highest potential on digital SAT reading and writing. To start increasing your score today, visit walkertestprep.com and click on Self-Prep. Well, that wraps it up for this week's episode of the Score Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, keep prepping smarter.